What is up? Welcome into today's episode of Pushing the Pile, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. We had a riveting Monday Night Football game last night that I wish mattered more because it was one of the craziest endings that I've seen to a football game. The blocked punt to muff to recovery to game-winning touchdown drive for Joe Burrow. Just how they drew it up.
Well, the amazing thing about that is John Fossil is considered one of the best special teams coaches in the league, and how do you allow your player to get near that?
That's just idiocy, right? It's just like he doesn't know the rules. It's at no point when it's a block punt like that, you don't touch it. You
have to pound that into those guys every week.
Yeah.
I mean, they went from blocking the punt, probably getting it point blank range,
literally winning the game. If they don't touch it,
even if he blocks it like a normal block and it goes the other way, they win the game. And as it turns out, it goes the other way, and the idiot touches it and turns the ball over.
It's everybody in the world knows the rule of Peter when the ball's in the air. But then there's that gray area when somebody else tips it. Is it a live ball still? Can we advance the football? Should I even go after it? I remember being on a field goal team, and I didn't have the answer to this. I still don't have the answer to this question because I was afraid to speak up and ask it to sound like a dumbass. I'm like, if the field goal's tipped, is it a live ball? Like, if I were to touch it, does it become a live ball? Is it dead on when I touch it?
It's a live ball for the defense.
Not for the O-line.
If it crosses the line of scrimmage, they can take it back.
See, that's it.
Offense, if you go touch it, it's dead. It's like a punt.
Yeah.
Thank you. You are now my special teams coach.
But if they touch it, and then it's a live ball.
Yes. Then it's live ball there. You don't get the ball back.
I would imagine there's a lot of guys.
Everybody should show the Leon Lett play. The Leon Lett play over in the history of Thanksgiving in the snow against Miami. He went and touched it. Miami recovered it. We ended up kicking a field goal and winning the game.
Yeah.
I just remember Leon Lett and Don Beebe.
Don Beebe. Yeah, he chased him down.
Tuck that thing away.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow goes 33 of 44, 369 yards, 3 touchdowns. Very much Jamar Chase aided, though, as he had 14 catches.
Made a lot of money on that game last night.
177 yards, 2 touchdowns. What bet did he have it into?
He said something came to him in a lightning bolt dream in the middle of the day, and he was like, Joe Burrow, if he had a better defense, he'd win the MVP. All this stuff we agree with. He was like, he's going to throw 3 touchdowns. T. Higgins is going to get 1. Jamar Chase is going to get 1. He's going to have 350 yards. You just read the stats. I mean...
Who said
just
that?
missed the T touchdown.
That guy knows something we don't know.
Who said that?
Portnoy.
Oh, yeah.
The rich get richer.
Yeah, right.
But obviously the Bengals moving to 5-8 with the win. I think still technically alive, but obviously
it's a shame.
It's over.
It's a shame they're not alive.
It is.
Yeah.
But
the defense still stinks, though.
So many missed stops. You just think about the 2 games against the Ravens, the ugly Week 1 loss against the Patriots, the no punt game against the Commanders where they just couldn't stop a nosebleed. This defense, they need to find answers quickly. And I don't know if they're coming because you're probably losing Trey Hendrickson this offseason. You're going to fire Lou Anarumo and get a new defensive coordinator. But these young guys have showed no promise, whether it's Miles Murphy.
Well, they benched the secondary. I mean, Cam Taylor-Britt got benched, came back. Now he's playing. Mm-hmm. They benched. They're playing Newton, the rookie. They benched Von Bell, who it crushed them to bench him because they love him, but they benched him. Battle was in and out, and now he's back in.
Dax Hill is probably their most promising corner. He tore his ACL. And it's like, a cornerback tearing an ACL coming back next year, expecting him to be anything is a pipe dream.
Plus, you got to figure Higgins isn't going to be there next year.
So it's a shame because Anarumo's had such a good defense for the last few years, and these guys have all stepped up. They've had a bunch of these Swiss Army knife type guys in the second level who can play physically at the line of scrimmage, and they just haven't been able to count on that defense. It's a waste. It's a waste. I mean, really, if you're a football fan, you want to see more Joe Burrow. Like, we say free football when it becomes overtime or extra baseball and extra innings. I want to see more Joe Burrow, and we've been robbed of that this year. It's a shame. And last night is just another example of the greatness that dwells in the bottom ranks of the NFL because a guy like Joe can't even make it to the playoffs this year.
Chase is going to win the Triple Crown.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
He has a legitimate shot to win the Triple Crown. I mean, and what a season to have in a money year. I mean, it's incredible. He's been what's
well, not technically a money year, but
his gritty,
not technically a contract year, but yeah, I know what you're saying.
He went with the broken
year
gritty,
he said he wanted
T. Higgins
more money.
Reset him. That was amazing. Okay, that celebration was great. It was seamless. I just love a good celebration.
I do think the Bengals are paying for the fact that they kind of went all in on that window in free agency with Joe Burrow and the rookie contract. And it really goes to show their lack of success this year and just their prospects going forward that you still have to win in the draft. If you want long-term success in the NFL, it still has to come via the draft because they're all of a sudden really expensive with no young guys playing at a high level that are cheap right now. Just none. And you can only win so many games if you don't have those guys who are underpaid relative to the value that they're bringing to the table.
They've missed their.
How long is this going to take?
They missed their picks.
I mean, you have Joe Burrow. Like, this season could have easily been flipped on its head. They could easily be 8-5 right now, and we're not even like discussing that. We're discussing, this defense is bad, but we're not discussing them as if like the window is slammed shut.
No, but you'd be saying, okay, he bails them out every week.
But exactly,
that's what you'd be saying.
Yeah,
how long
we don't
can
trust
you do
this
that?
team in the playoffs,
right? And you're right. Look at their draft picks. If you look at their draft picks, they haven't.
Bad.
I mean, like Mims will end up being a good player,
he'll be all right.
right?
Project.
I mean,
He'll be all right.
Still.
But he'll be fine.
Yeah.
But defensively, the picks that they've made, they haven't worked out at all.
Yeah, when you're their best draft pick since the Jamar Chase, and even like after Jamar Chase in that draft, no one, Joseph Asai had a sack yesterday, but that was like the first time he's done anything.
He was hurt, though, and he'd been hurt.
So after him, they have not had an impact draft pick. Here are their top 100 picks after Jamar Chase: Jack Carman, Joseph Asai in 2021.
Okay, Carmen's not even on the team anymore.
Yeah. Next year, Dax Hill, Cam Taylor-Britt, Zach Carter. Next year, Miles Murphy, DJ Turner, Jordan Battle.
No bang for the
So
buck.
much investment in defense with
And a lot of defensive backs that haven't panned out.
And then the next year, Chris Jenkins, Amarius Mims, Jermaine Burton, McKinley Jackson.
This is Tobin, right?
This is Tobin.
Yeah,
And this is the guy they want out of the building. He's kind of grandfathered into this franchise.
Well, he's not leaving the building because he's been there 20
Yeah,
And
he's
I
been there
actually don't-
forever.
The amazing thing is, I actually don't think he's that bad. But
He's not.
He's not. He's not bad.
But you read these Cincinnati
you also-
people's thoughts, and they bitch about Tobin.
But
They bitch about
there's a
Zach Taylor,
disconnect
too.
between him and Lou Anarumo. There's obviously, when you have Dax Hill, who was a cornerback in college, and you're asking him to play safety in Lou Anarumo's scheme his first 2 years and is objectively awful at it, there's a disconnect between how one's evaluating talent and what Lou Anarumo wants for his scheme. There just is.
And Lou's gone. Plus, like you look at the interior of that defensive line. Once DJ Reader left, BJ Hill's been. I guess he's been okay, but then what's his name? Sheldon Rankins got sick.
Reader was a huge part of that group.
They built the D-line through free agency. And that's just, again, if you're building it through free agency, it's not going to last long. The Jaguars found that out the hard way in 2016 when they built that entire defense through free agency, and then all of a sudden it's like 2 years later it stinks. It's because when you're paying guys a ton of money in their upper 20s, sometimes it goes quickly for those guys.
You want guys playing above their pay grade.
Exactly.
Young guys playing
But
above
the
their
other
pay
thing
grade.
is
And none of
the
those
offensive
D-line
line
did.
still ain't great either. There, I mean, no Brown last night, but Joe Burrow is the best in the league at keeping his head up and making plays where he navigates a pocket to step through pressure.
He is unbelievable. You heard Troy Aikman talking about him on the broadcast last night. He was like, this guy reminds me of a lot of quarterbacks that I played against. He's old school.
When the Manicast was going to,
See, I didn't watch that, but
Yeah.
they were raving about him. I mean, and rightfully so. We're so blessed as football fans to get to watch quarterbacks almost every single night of the week. I mean, the other night it was Herbert and Mahomes. We saw Allen and Stafford. Now you get Burrow. Even Cooper Rush was balling a little bit. But I'm just saying, we're lucky, and unfortunately, not all of them can make it to the playoffs. They can't all be champions every year. So for a guy like Joe Burrow, you just hope that the cavalry arrives defensively for him because he is so damn good.
It's amazing. And what do they have to? What would they? They'd have to win out and hope like a bunch of teams went rotten.
Yeah.
it ain't happening.
Because look, Denver and Indy play, so if Indy loses, they're basically done this week. But you'd have to have complete rotten end of seasons for either the Chargers or the Broncos.
Yeah, I just don't see it happening, unfortunately, for the Cincinnati Bengals. All right, we're going to take a quick break. After that, going to get to Pete's Power Rankings and our Goldilocks segment.
All right, now we're ready for Pete Prisco's Power Rankings. It is the Goldilocks segment brought to you by Travis Matthew, clothing designed for comfort and confidence no matter where the day takes you. And my guy Pete Prisco, he's got his shirt on today.
Look at this.
He's got the world famous cloud shirt.
Oh my God.
And we're twins, baby.
Oh
I've
my
seen this
God,
movie
we got the
before.
same shirt on.
If you took the jacket off and the hat off, we would have an interesting.
And we're not
photo
going to
op
do
on our
that.
hands.
We're not ready for the memes.
But you know what? You know what's amazing about that? I put this on today, comfortable, feel good. I come in. I figured the 1 week The 1 week he's not going to be wearing it, right?
Yeah, figured wrong.
Nope, every week.
That's like saying we're not going to prep for the tush push against the Eagles, man. You got to just be ready for what you got to be ready for.
I mean, every week.
And I got to say this about Travis Matthew. Now is the time for your holiday shopping list. You know, you've got a lot of nephews, nieces, you know, uncles, aunts, and you've got family members you want to fill out that list for and get them taken care of. I called my parents yesterday and I said, I know that you guys always get me clothing that you think I would like. Instead of sending me clothing, just send me a Travis Matthew gift card, because there is so much that you can get from Travis Matthew that fits all of your needs, whether it's on the golf course, if you're taking your beautiful fiance out to dinner, Mike, you can wear some of this Travis Matthew stuff. If I'm in New York City working for the CBS show on Sunday mornings and it's 30 degrees, I can get on the airplane in Florida with it, feel comfortable, get off the airplane in freezing temperatures, and I'll be okay. Travis Matthew's got me covered.
You know what the best thing about it is, and this is true, I always thought it was just golf stuff, but it ain't.
It's life stuff.
Look at this. It's golf. If I
we
wore this
wear
to
it
the
to the
golf course,
I
they throw
will
me
say
off.
though, I wear the jeans golfing when I go after work, so it's
That's great.
What?
I mean, I
Wait.
wear this. I wear this. I can work out in
Jeans
it.
on a
I can
golf
go to
course.
dinner in it. I put
I
the
go
jacket.
I hit balls.
Jeans on a golf course, you're a violator.
Jackets over this. You can put jackets
I will-
over this.
I will today
and
when
you
we
look
do our
great on
pick
TV.
show.
We're
I go
gonna
to
wear
the-
same thing.
No, you're not. You're going
Give
to
me
change.
some.
You're
No,
changing.
one
You're
shirt,
changing.
buddy.
You're changing.
That's how good Travis Matthew is. I just have to bring one shirt, and I'm good for everything. But the great thing about Travis Matthew, they have so many options. Like this stylish jacket right here, light enough to wear in South Florida. I'm not sweating my butt off here. I just feel great. I feel confident, and I'm definitely comfortable.
Pete, I go to the ratty driving range where the truck pulls like a metal grate behind it to pick up the balls. That's where I wear my jeans at. All right, let's get to the power
Cut-off
rankings.
tee with it.
Yeah.
When it's hot out, yeah, duh.
Power rankings.
Top 10. No surprise. Number 1, Detroit Lions. Number 2, Kansas City Chiefs. Number 3, Philadelphia Eagles. Number 4, Minnesota Vikings. Number 5, Buffalo Bills. Number 6, Pittsburgh Steelers. 7, Green Bay Packers. 8, Baltimore Ravens. 9, Los Angeles Chargers. And 10, Seattle Seahawks, making their first appearance, I believe, all season long in Pete's top 10. Bottom 5, we got some movement. No longer are the Carolina Panthers a bottom 5 team in the NFL. Hats off to the fellas.
There is some real stink in this league.
Which is funny because they actually have lost like all their games recently. Like they've still been losing.
But they've been great to watch.
But they've been great to watch.
It's kind of like that Joe Burrow effect. Like they lose a lot of games, but that quarterback, he's pretty good.
Bottom 5, Tennessee Titans, 28. New England Patriots, 29. New York Jets making their lowest appearance of the season at 30. New York Giants at 31. And the Las Vegas Raiders at 32. That Northeast, tough football season for the Northeast.
Bad.
Outside of Buffalo.
Bad. Buffalo's the only one. Well, Washington, Philly.
Yeah,
they're
they're not
Northeast.
Northeast.
And the Southeast.
That's
for
a
that
Northeast.
matter. Atlanta.
That's Atlantic Coast.
Miami.
He's like, Philadelphia's
Atlantic
in the
Coast.
Northeast.
I call that Atlantic Coast. Northeast starts in New York and goes works up.
Okay, so one thing I didn't realize, because I fly early afternoon to New York every weekend, and it's still light out, so I don't see the lights from the city. You can't see how the cities are connected with the infrastructure. But when you fly, you realize that Philadelphia, Newark, and New York City, it's all just one really long city, okay? I never knew this. Philadelphia and New York are essentially brothers, okay, that just live right down the hallway from one another. I know they're close.
I'm looking at a map.
But the lights, they're all connected.
Baltimore and Philly pretty close too.
They're all connected.
Yeah. It's the Northeast.
Yeah.
Unlike Mr. Geography over here.
Like, I
They're
know
not that
geography.
close.
but
You got
it's
New Jersey in
amazing.
between the two.
It's close.
It's close, but like you got the whole state of New Jersey.
I mean,
No.
New Jersey is basically a suburb of Philadelphia and New York. Though.
Yes. Like, my wife's from Jersey, but she's from the Philly suburb
part.
that's the South Philly, South Jersey.
Yeah.
South
So
Jersey, North
It's,
Jersey.
Newark is in the north.
I always
New York
assumed
part.
Philly or New York or New Jersey was just like a Sopranos set. Like the entire thing was just a set for Tony Soprano,
you go-
right outside of New York
where
City.
where the Jets train, that is like wooded area. There's deer running around out there. It's so different. Not that far from New York.
There's
either.
a geography lesson this morning. So
you
now
go.
I'm going to do my
Who's too high?
Too high.
Yeah.
My too high is the Atlanta Falcons,
At 21.
and they're really low, but they're not low enough.
I agree, though. They stink.
And
Well, okay, but which team behind them should they be ahead of?
They're honestly, I would say they're the worst team in the NFC South right now. If I had they all played, I think the Saints and the Panthers are better right now. Now, obviously, the records, but right now.
get boat raced by Bryce Young. You know what I'm saying? This Atlanta Falcons team. I'm gonna combine the fact that I had such high hopes for this offense with the fact that they have fallen off a cliff over the course of the last, month and a half?
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
I get
21.
I mean, they're not very good, but they're still second in the division, and they can still win it.
Relative to their position a month ago, they are in free fall.
Are they
They're
bad?
at terminal
The secondary
velocity.
was terrible last week, but particularly Alford, he was really bad. But where is but the quarterback's been awful. Can you make a change?
You have to make a change. We talked about this yesterday. I mean, what do
I
you
don't
have
know
to
if you
lose?
do.
You don't think so?
Not. I think you're throwing the kid in there, and I just don't think.
I think he's ready to rock. I think his group chat
done.
I think when he gets in the vehicle in the parking lot of the stadium after games, after they drop another heartbreaking one and Kirk Cousins looks human, his group text is blowing up from all his buddies like, dude, they got to throw you in there. And he's probably like, he doesn't have to respond, but he can hit the thumbs up on it. I think he's ready. I think he's ready to rock.
Here's why I think you make a change, and I think I outlined this maybe like Sunday night, but I'll say it again. You just saw how you stack up against playoff teams the last 4 weeks, and it was not even close, right? If your ultimate goal is to win a Super Bowl, and it should be.
Well, one of them was the Saints, by the way.
At this point, it's to make the playoffs.
That's not even a playoff team.
Yeah, not even a playoff team, but
That's the Rizzler.
you saw how you stacked up against what's your competition, and you were objectively inferior, and your quarterback was a big part of the problem. And at this point, Kirk's arm's not going to strengthen. Maybe like over the course of the offseason, whatever his training is, over a year and a half removed from the Achilles, maybe he can get the arm strength back a degree. But I still doubt at his age that that's going to happen. But you saw where you stacked up, and it wasn't good enough. So at that point, I'm not saying that Michael Penix Jr. is going to be for sure the answer, but
Can't be any worse.
It's kind of like the Russell Wilson, Justin Fields conversation.
Make a
you
move.
saw when you had Justin Fields that you were fine, but you were not a championship caliber team. So it could backfire, it could crash and burn. But at this point, there's no pressure on Penix. You're not the first place team anymore. You're not going to lose anything.
The plane is heading towards the ground, and there's no runway.
Yeah, and you have two easy-ish matchups, Raiders, Giants, back-to-back, to get his feet wet before then.
I guess this would be the week to do it. If
This would be the week.
It wouldn't be last week because of all the things we talked about.
Here's the problem. If they go out and don't do it, and Kirk plays semi-decent against a bad Raiders team, and they win, then they're not doing it. Right? I mean, then it doesn't happen.
Do we think that's going to happen?
But then you got 3 weeks.
Do we think Kirk's going to go out there and...
There's not one indicator to think that he can play well.
Yeah.
None.
Well, then,
Yeah.
they got to rise from the ashes like a Penix.
Hey-o.
Whoa.
Michael Penix. You like that? You like that?
Easy for you to say. I'm glad you got.
I tried that one on Mike yesterday, and he didn't laugh.
By the way, I'm glad you got
than-
the X on the end.
Give me some.
That's
Rise from the ashes, the
Better than
Phoenix.
rising from the pants like a Penix. All
it
right,
was good.
my team that's ranked too high. I'm going to go with the Indianapolis Colts. You have them at 16 still. I mean, I just don't think they're anything special. They're below 500 currently, 6-7. I think they've not been better with Anthony Richardson. They're probably about the same as with Joe Flacco. And it's not like he's shown massive growth. He just had the one game after getting benched. I'd take the Cardinals, the Dolphins, the 49ers, the Bengals over them.
I think the Cardinals.
right now.
I wouldn't take the Cardinals over them.
Maybe that's Cardinals. I'm not actually super high on.
Exposed the last couple.
I
weeks.
think they're similar in that there's not a lot of talent on this Colts
Okay, but
team,
Miami,
especially in the second.
Miami's defense was horrible against the Jets. Horrible. Then
Jets have good wide receivers.
yeah, and then okay, who was the other team you mentioned?
49ers, Bengals.
Yeah.
I mean, 49ers, a week ago, everybody was burying them. Now they win against the Bears.
But their hand went out of the dirt, like in those scary movies.
I mean,
if
the
they
49ers,
ripped the Bears out of the
if
sky.
the 49ers get healthy, then yeah.
Well, that's a really good segue into my
Too
low. The San Francisco 49ers. I don't know what Kyle Shanahan said in that team meeting, in that players and coaches only meeting. Like, you do the team meeting. For those of you who have never been in the NFL, you do a team meeting at the beginning of the week. And not only is it players and coaches, it's the training staff, the strength staff is in there in the back row. And then at the end of those meetings, if things aren't going well for your season, they say, all non-players and coaches leave the room, right?
Or non-essential.
Players and coaches stay. Everybody else, go get your coffee and donuts. They're free in the lobby. and then the doors close, and then some truth is told. And whatever truths were told in that San Francisco 49ers team meeting last week, it was the right stuff to say, because Kyle Shanahan's team went out there and embarrassed the Bears. And not only that, Brock Purdy looked like a guy who's worth every penny of this new contract he's going to get. I saw the defense play inspired brand of football. They had Hufanga back in there with the club on his hand. That's a guy that you love to see back on the field if you're a 49ers fan, because they haven't exactly gotten great play out of a guy like Jair Brown at that position. So this San Francisco 49ers team, I know that this is a power rankings list and everybody looks at it differently, but I look at the power rankings like, who could you beat right now? Where do you stack up right now? And that San Francisco 49ers team that I saw take the field in Santa Clara this past week, they should be higher.
If that team would be higher, but have we consistently seen that team?
No, but right. I'm betting that 2 weeks in a row we're going to see it from this group.
Yeah, I'm not going to go to war for the 49ers over really the Dolphins, maybe the Cardinals, but definitely the Colts. I would say probably a little bit higher, but I do think it's a little too late. And especially if you don't have Nick Bosa, I still think that's a big issue when you face someone who doesn't hold the ball.
I'm putting him at 15. I got him above the Dolphins, the Cardinals, and the Colts.
How about Hufanga
and the Texans,
Mustafa
for that matter?
Hitting the hell out of you in the back end. Mustafa and Hufanga.
Mustafa plays a friggin' different speed.
Those guys will hit you, too.
And I think it's because they watch a guy like Fred Warner play in that red line speed, and they all feel confident.
Their season was on the line Thursday night.
Yes.
Let's be real.
Yes. All right, my team, that's too low. Same division. I'm going to go Los Angeles Rams.
Yep.
We didn't touch on them yet, but they were number 13 in Pete's power rankings, behind Denver, behind Washington. I'm putting them above both those teams right now.
Yep.
When you come at the King and Buffalo Bills and put up 44 on them, I think this offense is for real, and especially because, not only because Kupp and Puka, but the offensive line turnaround. First 9 weeks of the season, Matt Stafford had single-digit pressures in his games, 3 of the 9 games. Last 4 weeks, 3 of the 4 weeks. The offensive line has had a massive turnaround. When he has time with those wide receivers, you are going to have difficulty stopping this offense.
With a rookie center, by the way, who's playing well.
Yeah.
I mean, that line healthy is pretty good. It's not great. It's pretty good.
It's good enough. I mean, more than good enough, right?
Like
that's where you need to get to.
When I think about a McVay team, I think about cerebral. I think about talented, but I don't think about tough. Now, when I watch this team, I'm like, they're like the toughest. Grind it out. They're like the toughest team in the NFC West right now.
They had 6 rookies play on defense, and 5 of them played 30 or more snaps the other day. Think about that.
Team building. That's important.
5.
Yeah.
5 played 30 or more snaps, and they're contributors, all of them, every single one of them. I mean, everybody knows Fisk and Verse, but Spates, Kitchens, and who's the other one?
I like the guy Spate.
The other
Fisk.
Safety.
Oh, safety. Gosh.
I'm having a brain fart there.
Rookie, safety.
He played 30 snaps, I think, too.
It's McCullough.
They believe. I mean, they've got an offense. They've got a couple guys on the defensive front that can get after people. They have a chance, and they're going to make a run. And we talked about.
I worry about the corners.
They're on a collision course.
I mean, their secondary is still
de facto NFC West championship
susceptible. They didn't necessarily play defense against the Bills. That's not why they.
No. Their secondary is definitely beatable. Darius Williams can't run anymore. I mean, the
Rams are scary.
Offensively, they're scary. Defensively, they're not.
Yeah.
Well, it's scary because you have to go and match that production.
They're the kind of team that
offense.
if they make the playoffs, they could pull off a round 1 upset. But then I don't think they're.
You know where they'd be in round 1 probably.
Philly.
Green Bay probably, wouldn't they? If they don't. Oh, you're saying if they win
sorry.
Wild card.
Yeah, they would probably play. Well, they'd probably play Minnesota then. They'd probably be the last.
They would be.
I think they get after Minnesota.
The Bucs and them have the same record right now.
Well, the Bucs would win the division, so they'd be 4.
Yeah, well,
5 would be the Rams. 5 would be the Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
6 would be the Packers.
Mm-hmm. So I guess it would be.
Yeah,
interesting. Let's see. I hope so. I hope it happens. All right, who's ranked just right, Kyle?
For me, just right. I gotta double check this. Make sure I don't mess this up. I wrote it down earlier. The team that's just right. It's your Green Bay Packers.
Number 7.
I mean, they're hanging around. They should have probably won that game last week, in my opinion. And I think at the top of the NFC North, there's really centimeters between all these teams, right? The Detroit Lions are at the top of your power rankings list. This Green Bay Packers team took them down to the wire in Detroit. I love the Packers. I love Matt LaFleur. I love how creative he is. What's that?
Bad OPI call.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of questionable calls on both sides.
That was a terrible call.
That was a terrible call.
I just think that the Packers are dangerous, and you talked about it at the beginning of the season. And when you've got the pieces at the spots that they do, you're dangerous and you have a chance to win every week. I mean, this Packers team has the right guy at quarterback. I trust their head coach as much as I trust any of the head coaches in the National Football League. Obviously, great fans. You get an opportunity to play at home. You can be dangerous. This Green Bay Packers team can beat anybody, but I think they're just right at 7 because the other group, as you're going to allude to, they've earned their right to be where they are.
But here's the other thing about the Packers. They've lost 4 games to the Eagles, 2 to the Lions, 1 to the Vikings.
By like 7 points?
20. Total of 20.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that tells you where they are as a
Yep.
team. And I still don't think we've seen the best of the Packers.
Nor do I.
I just don't. And they're going to be a wild card team. But as a wild card team, they're going to be one of those teams that nobody – it's like when Rodgers went on this run that one year as a wild card team. They have the capability of doing that. And they will – okay, if the playoffs started today, that they'd be the 6 seed playing the 3 seed. They go to this game this week. Mm-hmm. Seattle would be the playoff game.
The playoff
game. It would be a rematch. So I think they can beat anybody.
And you hit the nail on the head, and you're right up here. They've lost 4 games. But those 4 losses came to the teams ranked 1, 3, and 4 in your power rankings.
Right.
And by a total of those 4 losses, 20 points.
Yeah.
All very close
Right.
games. All down to the wire. So, yeah, I do think that 7, I think, is perfectly where I put them. I think they're a very good team who obviously has had their chance to be in the upper echelon, failed all those chances, but they've also passed every test below them. So
they need Alexander back. They need Alexander back.
And Pete, you're going to love this, my Goldilocks team, if you can call it that, Kansas City Chiefs. Or not the Kansas City Chiefs, the top 10. I actually like what the Kansas City Chiefs are, too. I think this is spot on your entire top 10. This is how I would rank the top 10 teams in the NFL right now. Lions, Chiefs, Eagles, Vikings, Bills, Steelers, Packers, Ravens, Chargers, Seahawks. That's my top 10. And as much as I've been a Chiefs hater all year long, and I think the Eagles are the more talented team at number 3, I just look at this past week's games, and the Eagles had their chance to close out the Carolina Panthers. Don't get to do it. Give the ball back to Bryce Young. Should have given up a game-losing touchdown. The Eagles were almost the Chiefs were almost in a nearly identical situation in terms of just like end of game. What do they do? 4 minutes, 35 seconds on the clock. They get the ball back. Take all the clock off. Take the 2 timeouts from Chargers.
Got to have it down. Mahomes makes
Got to have it.
Travis.
They make the play. Easy game-winning field goal. It should have been easier than it looked.
That felt Chiefs.
That's just the difference between those 2 teams right now is that I don't trust the Eagles in close games. They've eked out a few, but they've had some terrible decision-making in some of those and resulted in 2 of their losses. So, yes, I think this is how I would rank the top 10.
And here's the other thing about the
hat
Chiefs.
tip to you.
Everybody keeps saying close games. It isn't about the regular season for them. It's whatever they get in the regular season, they're going to have the number 1 seed, right?
Yep.
So the number 1 seed means you win 2 games and off you go to the Super Bowl, correct? So these close games are good for them.
Yeah.
It toughens you up.
You heard Chris Jones talk about it after the game.
Yeah.
They're like, why are you guys in close games? He's like, I got to get them media ratings up. But he's like, in all seriousness, we're preparing to play in the playoffs.
Right.
They're all close games in the playoffs. There's no blowouts.
Correct.
So I do like that, Mike. Your Pete's top 10 is your rank just right.
Right. So they get the bye, and then they have to win 2 games.
Yeah.
At home.
Yep.
At Arrowhead. With Mahomes.
Yeah.
And Andy Reid.
And
And
they're getting
Spagnuolo.
healthier. Yeah.
Right. I'll take look, I picked Buffalo to win it this year, to win the AFC. They're going to have to go to Arrowhead and win. That ain't easy.
Yep.
No. And in addition to that, we talked about I'm going to talk about the Chiefs a little bit right here. DJ Humphries, new left tackle, goes out there and plays. It was obvious that his feet were what do they say? Not under him yet.
No, he stunk.
I wouldn't say he stunk. There was some stuff that he did that I thought was really good, but you get a soft tissue injury. He's getting an MRI on his hamstring. I think the only option here for the Kansas City Chiefs is kick Joe Thuney out to left tackle, because since he has been in the building, he has been the best left tackle on the roster. I thought he was a better left tackle than Orlando Brown Jr.
Well, they need a guard then?
They can put Wanye Morris in there, and they can put Caliendo in there at guard. Or they can call their big bald buddy here in studio. But
Didn't he play tackle at NC State?
What's that?
He played tackle at NC State.
Thuney was an absolute stud at tackle. And I remember in Cincinnati playing against Trey Hendrickson, Orlando Brown went down, and we were like, oh, I was like, oh my God, what are we going to do? And Tooney was like, I could do this. They kicked him out to left tackle, and he was a freaking stone wall. So Tooney, left tackle, you got to have somebody fill in there at left guard, but I think that's your best bet moving forward. Okay, that was your Goldilocks segment brought to you by Travis Matthew Apparel, designed for confidence and comfort, no matter where the day takes you.
All right, now our debate segment. We got some good ones this week. And the first one is, too bad Lachey's not on for this one, because the question is, will the Jets break the longest modern playoff list streak, which is 17 games? That was the 2020 Browns had it. I guess not necessarily 2020 Browns, but the Browns broke theirs in 2020 and the Bills broke theirs in 2016. So will the Jets, with now 14 straight, will they go 4 more years without making the playoffs?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm going to say no. You guys give me your arguments first, then I'll counter.
Well, how are you fixing the quarterback position?
Yeah.
I mean, one, they have Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson. You don't necessarily need to fix the quarterback situation. You need to fix the OC situation. So if you get a OC in there with any modicum of ability to adjust and scheme up a modern offense, you can put a Jameis Winston back there and produce offense. You can put a Sam Darnold back there and produce offense.
Sam Darnold ain't
I think
going
there
nowhere.
I know he's not going anywhere, but I think there are options that would play the quarterback position better than Aaron Rodgers did this year, simply because the offense would have more options. Like, you don't necessarily need to get an elite guy to have better results.
Okay. Is the offensive line fixed?
Olu looked great at left tackle.
That's one.
And then you have, I mean, it shouldn't be that hard to cobble together
We got one piece.
a left guard. And Morgan Moses is not terrible at right tackle at this point. You have a right
But
guard.
again, he's not a kid either, though. So you're talking
Yeah.
in the next 4 years, is he going to be
Yeah,
a
he's
right?
no spring chicken. He's my age.
I mean, so think about it. I worry about, and then we talk about defensively.
They're going to get a top 5 pick to add, whether it's offensive linemen, whether it's defensive linemen, like a Mason Graham.
I say no because of the quarterback.
I think yes. I think. Oh wait, no. You would say yes. I say no, because the question is, will they break?
You say they will make the playoffs.
They're going to make the playoffs in the next 3 seasons.
So they're going to have one of those. What you're saying is they're going to have one of those aberration seasons where everything goes right. The quarterback play doesn't need to be great. He's not going to carry him. He's going to be the add-on to the whole thing. The ball bounces their way. They make it in, and
Correct.
then they go back to being.
They've had
an accident.
They've had enough draft success of late that they will have cap space to work with.
They can
have a
flip
lot
it.
of rookie contract guys making an impact. That this can turn.
Hey, this new guy that just moved in down the street in New England at quarterback, he's pretty good.
They're
he's
a tough
going to be a
fixture.
bear to deal with. And,
Well, yeah.
and they're going to figure out how
And
to
the
start
guy in
winning.
Buffalo isn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
And Miami's quarterback is
He's
when he's
pretty
on the
damn
field,
good.
they can score.
Yeah.
But
That's tough.
who's going to be the coach and general manager too? You have
I
no
don't
idea.
know who they'll
Rex
get.
Ryan, man.
Oh, stop.
Come on. That big white smile. Come
Stop.
on, get him
Stop.
in there.
Stop.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. I
That
think
would
it'll
actually
take
be
some time.
awesome if they did make Rex Ryan their head coach
They
just for
won't.
the vibes. But all right, next one. Who is the best player on a non-playoff team?
Max Crosby,
Not this year.
he plays 100% of the snaps.
But he wasn't good. He wasn't good last week. I can tell you that.
That's
Plays 100% of the snaps. Okay, who's the best player on a non-playoff
I mean, it's
team?
Joe Burrow.
Let's be serious. Okay, well, Joe Burrow, we just...
Or
Jamar,
Chase.
Jamar Chase, yeah.
Right. Or Chase.
They have maybe the best receiver in the NFL this year and maybe the best quarterback in the NFL this year.
Yeah.
And obviously aren't going to make the playoffs, but
Trey
Yeah.
Hendrickson.
No, those two.
You just named Bengals.
It's
You could
Burrow.
just name Bengals.
It's Burrow or Chase. That's the easy answer.
Outside of the guys that we've covered at length this morning, who are we thinking?
Myles Garrett's still
Oh,
Yeah.
the gold standard,
Yes.
and obviously when he's
And they're not a
play.
playoff team.
he's the gold standard, period.
Yeah. So one of those 3.
I'm trying to think of another one.
Who else is playing? I mean, Trent's been banged up, but obviously Trent's Trent.
Yeah, he hasn't played. He hasn't played enough.
Yeah. Gosh.
Well, let's go through the teams who aren't in the playoffs. You can
Dexter
do.
Lawrence every year.
Not playing now though.
Yeah.
Can't go NFC North because they're all in the playoffs and
Right.
all the Bears suck.
Right.
What corners have been great this year? I'm trying to
Yeah, like normally you'd say Jalen Johnson. He hadn't been as good this year.
Yeah. Jalen and Sauce, but like Sauce hasn't been as good either.
No. Ramsey hasn't been as good. He's
Yeah.
been good, but he hasn't been dominant.
It's
was
Joe
bad
Burrow
last
or Jamar
week.
Chase. It's those two.
It's Burrow and Chase.
It's
it's
Yeah.
easy.
All right, will the number one seeds in the AFC and NFC stay the same between now and the playoffs? So that's obviously will the Chiefs and will the Lions end up ultimately being the one seeds in their respective conferences?
What will it take for the Lions to get out of the 1 seed?
A loss.
One loss.
And the Eagles to run it.
Right.
So the Eagles have a fairly easy.
Eagles schedule's easy.
I think the Eagles are going to run the table.
The Eagles schedule's a joke.
I have real concern about the
They got
Lions.
Washington.
Well, they got the Pittsburgh.
But they'll win. They're at home.
Pittsburgh at Washington, and then it's Cowboys Giants. So one of the next 2 weeks.
If they lose one, then the Lions will be the 1 seed.
Then it's
But if they lose, the Lions schedule's not easy.
Lions schedule is also very difficult.
Let's go through that Lions finishing schedule.
Lions schedule
here.
is Bills, Bears, 49ers, Vikings.
Well, they almost dropped one to the Bears a couple weeks ago.
Only at Chicago and at San Francisco. So home against the Bills, home against the Vikings. So that obviously makes that a little bit easier.
If they win 3 of theirs, they're going to be.
Mm-hmm. The thing is, the Vikings also could be resting Week 18, based off of.
Or they could be catching Week 18.
Yeah, there's if they win, but they have a fairly difficult schedule themselves going in. So they play the Packers still and the Seahawks. So there's a chance if they lose a game, Lions haven't lost a game. There's a chance the Vikings would.
But if the Lions lose one, like if the Lions lost to the Bills, the Eagles lost to Washington, then the Vikings will lose one. They could play for that game.
So my answer is
we've given
NFC.
We've given all.
We say the
scenarios.
Chiefs. The Chiefs for sure.
And I'm going to say they stay the same. I think they stay the same. I think the Lions and the Chiefs are your 1 seeds.
If I were a betting man, I would say that it's probably going to be the Lions, just because of the injuries they have on their defense.
That wouldn't be.
They would not retain that one position.
Yeah. And then you got the Dan Campbell idiotic effect.
Oh, Pete,
what happens?
You're just wrong. You're just wrong
what
about
happens?
This take.
And I could see both sides of it. I did present both sides of this argument yesterday, right? I was like, as a player, I love it. As a fan, I'm getting my pitchfork ready for when Dan Campbell screws us over inevitably, right?
Like when he cost them the championship
We
game
can't
last
talk
year.
about all the injuries defensively and then say, they shouldn't be going for these 4th downs.
Yes, you can. Let's go for the first time he went for it.
Yeah.
It was on his, 29?
That wasn't the first time. That was like the 4th time.
Well, the one that I'm talking about.
The one that they missed. Yeah, the one time they missed.
The Jahmyr Gibbs.
The ones that he went for are on the goal line or on the 5-yard line. The one he went for, the one on the idiotic one is on the 29. What's your end game there? You still need 40 yards to get points.
It's keeping the football.
Wait, don't you need 40 yards to get points?
Don't you want to have the football?
No, you want to. You gave him points. That was stupid. Then the one at the end of the game made no sense.
That was
Zero.
actually even anti-analytics. Analytics had to kick it there, but
the analytics aren't always right. You get to.
I'm saying the analytics even said to kick there. Usually the analytics,
but they're not always right, anyways.
Yeah.
But if you don't get it, he goes 40 yards to get a field goal to beat you.
Yeah.
With no timeouts. If you do get it, you're kicking the field goal to win the game. Okay, I get it. But if you kick on 4th down, you're leaving him 30 seconds and no timeouts to go get a field goal to tie you, not to beat you. There's no rationale, believe me, for that. And
that's why the analytics said no.
That's why Dan Campbell is just like, he's got an extra parking spot for his balls.
He's reckless.
Yeah.
Your team is too good to be reckless.
What happens when their coordinators on both sides of the football
are they too good, or are
next
they?
Year? What do you think next year when Dan Campbell is out there without his 2 wizards?
You don't think he's reckless?
Position?
Well, is that so? Does the knowledge that we're going to be that aggressive, does that affect the way they play on 1st through 3rd down? Does that improve who they are as a team on those downs? Because you can't argue with the results right now. You could say that they're reckless, but they're also 11-1.
Yes.
But you can argue with the results when you go back over the results. Let's go back to the Dallas game last year. They would have, correct me if I'm wrong, but they would have been the number 1 seed had they won at Dallas last year. Mm-hmm. That was reckless at the end of the game.
It was
reckless. Then the 49ers, you have a chance to go up 17 late in the 3rd quarter if you kick a field goal, and he didn't. And the 49ers went and got a touchdown, and it was a ball game. Oh. Then, late in that game, you have a chance to kick a field goal to tie the championship game.
Nope.
And he doesn't do it.
But they also then get to walk into every stadium like they're the baddest team on planet Earth, knowing that they, on 4th downs, it's another down to them.
If you're on your side of the confidence. If you're on your side of the field, like everybody keeps saying, well, what, you didn't say that early, and when he went for it on 4th, they were on the other side of they're on the inside the 10. That's fine. There's ways to do it and ways not to do it. I love aggressive approach. I think all teams have been way too limited in the way they call their go fast. Teams don't go fast anymore. You see at the end of the Chiefs game the other day, at the end of the half, they asked them, they said, hey, Andy, what was it? Well, we went fast. Yep. Well, go fast now. Go fast. Yep. Dictate. And so, but I'm okay with that. But what they're doing, he's being reckless. And by the way, everybody says, oh, they walk into the building, they're the best team in the league. Where's your skins on the wall? You don't have any. You don't have any because you would have won at San Francisco if you didn't do what you did.
And probably would have given the Chiefs a run for their money.
Hell yeah.
And you know what? Mike said it best yesterday. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. And as a football player, as an offensive lineman, I can tell you I've had coaches to where if it's 3rd and 2 and we get stuffed on, or let's say it's 3rd and 5 and we run the football, gain of 4, now it's 4th and 1. I'm already making my way to the sideline because I know that my coach is going to ask his buddy with the glasses on next to him, what are we doing? And he's like, you should punt here, coach. You should punt. Dan Campbell puts his earmuffs on, and he just feels the game. And as an offensive lineman in that building, I'm not budging from between the hashes after we don't get the first down because to Mike's point, this Lions football team gets an opportunity to have 4 downs to get the job done. The utmost in faith in the team they've put together. They've built their group from the front line back. And I think it pays dividends when you get in those situations to have that confidence because you closed your eyes. You closed your eyes the night before in the hotel room and you said, Dan's going to give us an opportunity
But every player wants to go for it all the time.
But every player doesn't believe that they're going to get it. I truly think, I know that this Detroit Lions group believes that they will get it every time. It's
a mentality that you can go cherry pick a decision here, a decision there, but then at the end of the day, you look at just wins and losses, and you can't argue with that.
You know, it's like you can't win those games without those stupid plays.
But it's also like they wouldn't be the same team if they didn't have that.
Yep.
They would be a different team. They would have made and it may not show on just 4th downs. It may show on 3rd downs. It may show on other downs in other ways.
When they were younger and they were building something, I loved it because you weren't there. You're there now. You don't need that anymore. You don't need it anymore. You're too good. You don't need it anymore. That's where my thing is.
You remember Brock Lesnar? You guys remember
the wrestler?
Brock Lesnar? Did you watch UFC at all?
No,
so he did UFC after he was a wrestler, and he was a manimal. You know what I'm saying? 6'5", 270. And when that bell went off, he was crossing the ring, and he was going to come try to pummel you. That feels like Dan Campbell's Lions, and I think when you have that belief and that conviction, the guys on the defensive side of the ball are like, oh, shit, they're going to go for it, and they're probably going to get it because we saw it on film all week.
Well, they didn't get it against the Packers. It gave them point-blank points.
What's the percentage of times that he's gone for it and he's gotten it?
But that's not – you got to do it situationally. I'm okay if you're inside the 5-yard line in situations, but inside your own 30 is just dumb.
You know how much it breaks the back of an opposing team if you go for it in one of these situations?
Detroit is 6th in the NFL in conversion rate on 4th down, and obviously they've gone for more than anyone else in the NFL.
And they don't have a tush push, really.
But if you're on the defense and he goes for it on 4th down on the 29, wasn't it at the 29? I think it was.
Way friendly territory.
Okay. And they get it. You go, okay, well, look, if I'm a smart defensive player, I go, well, this moron now has to go 30 more yards.
Yeah, but that's assuming that there are smart defensive players, Pete.
Wow. He went there.
If they were smart, they'd be on offense.
I'll be honest with you. In covering this league all the years I have, the offensive linemen are the best when it comes to talking to them.
Best looking, too.
Yeah, some of them.
All right. That was a great debate topic. Next one. True or false? QBs will go 1-2 in the 2025 NFL draft.
This is a you question.
Raiders hold 1, Giants hold 2.
True.
I think so, too.
Huh?
I think so, too, and I don't think it even matters who
Ward.
ends up
Ward,
being.
Sanders, however it goes.
I do think they'll be 1-2 just because need dictates. I mean, I think they're good enough. I don't think they're as good as any of the 3 guys that went top 3 last year. But
you got to. You have to take the bat off the shoulder and take your swings. If you don't have one, you have to try and get one. If you don't get it right, you go in a couple of years, you go get another one.
Only guy I've watched an extended amount of ball on is, I'm not a huge, I watch the Ducks on Saturday night because they're usually in prime time because they're the best team in the football, in college football.
Best team money can buy.
But this guy, Cam Ward, I go to the barber shop in Boca Raton every Saturday at noon, and the Miami Hurricanes are always on. And
Barbershop Weekly?
Yeah, Barbershop Weekly for my beard.
That's good.
Okay. This beard grows fast. The hair does not grow fast, but the beard grows very fast. And these guys they watch them. They're all huge Canes fans, and I watch this guy Cam Ward every week, and it looks like he's just out there.
Nonchalant.
Just having fun.
He's very nonchalant. He's very nonchalant.
And he is gifted.
He can throw it.
He is gifted.
He's loose. He's a little loose.
I can't wait to watch that guy play. So, what's the big gripe about him?
Loose.
What is loose?
He throws picks, throws crossbody.
Would you rather have a guy throwing picks, or would you rather have a guy taking sacks?
I think
he's also got a terrible defense.
There's a guy in Chicago right
play.
now who's taken 52 sacks, and I wish he would have 52 interceptions. I feel way better about it.
I would take him number one overall. I don't think he's as good as, again, the top 3 last year, but I also was saying that this is a special draft class last year. That's why I was like banging the table for teams to draft those guys. But I think he's a darn good prospect that I'd draft number 1 overall, for sure.
He's just gifted.
It's either him or Sanders makes it look pretty easy.
Yeah, Sanders is good. Sanders doesn't have an arm.
When I was
I worry about his arm. That's the one thing. But he can throw it good enough. It's not a great arm.
When I was playing baseball in high school, there was, those guys that go to camps and their dads bring them to the batting cage at 6 a.m. and they just grind it out, and they're almost like baseball robots, like athletic robots. Well, I got to do the Perfect Game National Showcase in Cincinnati, Ohio, and it was my first opportunity playing with guys from the Dominican Republic. Cam Ward plays the game like some of these guys from the DR who are just gifted. Like, gifted, it looks easy. Like you say, loose. I'm like, that's not loose. That's God-given ability right there.
He's forced to be loose because his defense is so bad that he has to. Every time he takes a field, he has to score.
I want studs like that on my football team.
He's got a little Mahomesy looseness to him. But I look, he can throw it. Shedeur Sanders makes it look easy. He's smart. He's accurate with the ball. You're right. His arm isn't great. It's not great, but they'll go 1-2. The problem, the reason they'll go 1-2 is because there's nobody after him.
Shedeur's going 1,
or it'll 1 or 2.
I think Ward goes 1. I think whoever it is. But teams gravitate towards
Carson
trades.
Beck not going high now.
He's not even playing football anymore after what happened to him Saturday. He might have a UCL tear.
And then you got, where else do you go? Quinn Ewers has been bad.
Well, it's Drew Aller's QB3.
Okay, that's the guy I watched the other night for Penn State.
He's been better.
I hadn't seen him take one snap of football in his carear, and the other night I was like, "Is this Josh Allen playing?" Like he had a throw he made where the pocket broke down. He was his legs were like in scissor position,
sidearm.
You know what I'm talking about?
In the middle of the field.
Like and my jaw dropped. I'm eating chicken wings.
You get a lot of that from him, but you also get some really bad.
He misses throws. He misses a lot of throws.
Yeah. So did Josh Allen.
Yeah, he's very much going to get those.
How big is he?
He's not as physical.
6'5", 240.
But he doesn't run like Allen runs.
That's a horse.
And he doesn't have his. I've actually talked with Brady about this because he throws a lot of non-spirals, and Brady thinks his mechanics are still like a work in progress because he doesn't spin it. Like he doesn't. That ball isn't. You know how Aaron Rodgers like a spiral's just like he releases, he gets that.
Brady didn't love Drew Aller.
He doesn't think he spins it well enough.
And
I agree. That's a lot of his accuracy issues.
Doing? How's Brady doing?
He's good.
But in terms of just pure arm strength, the guy has a cannon.
Yeah, he's got. I think I liked him, but I think he's inconsistent. There's a lot of inconsistency there. Quinn Ewers has fallen off the.
Quinn's not a prospect.
I want the guy that makes it look easy, and Cam Ward makes it look easy.
The one that everybody's going to rush up the board and become a first round pick, and maybe middle of the first round, Milroe. And I think he's. You watch. I'm with you on that one, by the way.
He's going to throw it 80 yards at his pro day.
It's maddening to watch that guy play.
I would take him in the first round.
There's some talent there.
Wide receiver.
What's his comp?
His comp is, it's not even Lamar. Like, he's so athletic. He's that tier of athlete, but he just can't throw, man.
He's got a good arm.
He's got a good arm,
but he cannot throw.
Somebody's going to take him in the first round as a quarterback. You watch. And they're going to say, well, we can work with him, and because he's athletic, he's big, right? How big is he?
He's 6'2", 225.
Yeah, he's a big, thick kid.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to run 4.3. He is.
Are you kidding me?
Fly. No, he's legitimately.
And there are games,
one of the best athletes.
And you got to admit, there are games when he's passing the football when you go, okay, he got it. And then there's a game the following week where you look at him like he's never passed a football his entire life.
It's like Anthony Richardson in that regard.
Even worse. In my opinion, as a passer, even like less to work with at this point.
I'm out.
Yeah. It's not good sometimes.
I'm out.
But I just if he
It's
said
intriguing.
if he said he wanted to play wide receiver, I'd take him in the first round.
So you draft
somebody's
him and
going to
make him
take
a Taysom Hill. Make
Mike,
him a plus
Yeah,
Taysom
Mike,
Hill.
yeah.
Somebody will take him as a quarterback at the back end of the first round. You watch.
Well, that's why I thought Anthony Richardson, I'd still take him where they took him, because if he wants to play tight end tomorrow, he is an elite tight end.
Yep.
That guy is a hell of an athlete. And so it's
He's
still
a
an
football
athlete.
player.
It's still an athlete-driven sport that
You got to let him develop a little bit and see if he can improve as a passer.
I'm all for that, but when we line up in 22 personnel, I want that big son of a buck right there behind the tackle. I'm going to say you're a threat to catch it. You're a threat to go
you gotta
trap
let him
that
develop,
end.
though. Let him develop.
All right, next topic.
He wants to hit people.
Will Bill
Turn him into
Belichick
Logan Thomas. That's what you're doing.
Oh, God.
That's what you're doing.
No.
Will Bill Belichick be North Carolina's head coach next year? I don't know if you saw those reports, but apparently interviewing for the North Carolina head coaching.
Well, the word is he wants to set up the son.
Yep.
Yes.
And so family legacy is more important than your own, right? Because you would think he would come back to try and break Shula's record. And now he's trying to set up his son. So, look, I can't imagine him dealing with NIL and transfer portal and all that crap. So
I thought he was trying to get his girlfriend a scholarship to UNC. I'm kidding.
Why, she just graduated?
I'm kidding.
But I mean, no, you're not. But the but the bottom line is I can't imagine. Here's my problem with Bill in the NFL. Bill, the head coach, I want him.
Not the GM.
No.
Yeah.
And if you hire
Colleges
him,
have GMs now.
there's no way he's going to work with a GM.
Andrew Luck.
There's no way he's going to work with a GM who's telling him this is who we're picking. You know that isn't working.
He knows he goes to a place like UNC. He has, a green. It's not just a green light to do what he wants. It's a green arrow. Everybody else is going to move out of the way for Bill Belichick. And I heard him on the McAfee show giving his pitch about what he's trying to, get
Making an
accomplished.
NFL team.
A pipeline to
You
the
know
NFL.
who did that? You know who did that?
It's the inverse of what Chip Kelly did, because Chip Kelly tried that in the pros, and we saw what happened.
Well, you know who did that in college?
Who's
Remember
that?
when Ray Anderson and Herm Edwards took over at Arizona State? They made it an NFL thing. It didn't work.
I remember that.
Didn't work.
It was like mid-20-teens.
Yeah, before this group.
Yep. I could totally see Bill Belichick going there.
Hell no, he's not going there.
I could totally
He's going
see
to
it.
get an NFL offer.
He's going to do a
He's gotta get
year.
an NFL.
He's going to do a year, maybe 2 years.
Where's
there.
he get the NFL offer from, though?
Dallas. I maintain that he will be the Dallas Cowboys' next head coach.
Jerry's
So-
crazy enough.
But Jerry's
Jerry
crazy
wants
enough.
the
Is Jerry,
brand to be associated with Bill Belichick
Yeah,
for
but
all
is
time.
Jerry
Best
Jerry
quarterback.
going to say, "Hey, Bill, here you go. You're going to make the personnel decisions"?
Probably not, but is Bill at this point? Bill wants to get back in. Is he?
Bill's not going to let Jerry make personnel decisions for him.
That's also true.
Come on.
I want to be a fly on the wall in that meeting room.
Hey, we're going to draft so and so.
Bill?
No, you're not.
Bill?
Yes, we are. No, we're not. Yes, we are. I'm out.
I mean, this is a team that made the playoffs last year. This is a team that has a quarterback. They've got a number one wide
They
receiver.
got two young rookie offensive linemen they're going to play.
They've got an elite edge
They got
rusher.
a great left guard. I mean,
Overshown got hurt yesterday, and that was tough to watch. There's nothing worse than watching young stars.
the corners are back.
get
I
hurt.
mean, look, the Cowboys aren't that far away, but I can't imagine Bill and Jerry working together. I just can't. I get what you're saying, the brand and everything.
Mm-hmm.
If Jerry said, "Okay, Bill, your brand, I'm going to hire a GM. He's going to make football decisions. You're going to coach, and I'm out of it." Okay, I get it. That works, but I don't think that's happening.
Thank goodness. All right, we'll see. Last one, and we'll wrap up here. The Eagles' passing game will be their downfall
Yes.
come playoff time.
Yes,
Jalen Hurts.
and we've said it. We've said it time and time again on this show. Less is more with the Philadelphia Eagles as it pertains to Jalen Hurts being the catalyst for this offense. It's been about two things. It's been about the running back. It's been about the offensive line. Yes, Devontae's back in the lineup. Yes, A.J. Brown has the physical advantage against anybody he's going to be going against. But at the end of the day, you need to have that quarterback put you in position to win football games. There's clearly a disconnect there in the passing game. And I think when it comes down to it, you're going to end up, the rubber meets the road. And when it does, it's going to be against a group that doesn't have questions about their passing game.
Well, so are you questioning Jalen Hurts?
Yes.
Yeah, and so is A.J. Brown, by the way. which is not.
And I'm questioning A.J. Brown, too.
That's not a good look for A.J. Brown. That's not a good look for Sirianni to have a wide receiver. Look, we all know wide receivers complain all the time.
Yeah.
And I used to say guys would lose games
This is
and
McNabb
catch
and
9
T.O.
and catch 9 for 140 and be happier than when they caught 3 and won a game. That's just the way the wide receiver position is. They don't want to hear that, but that's the reality of it. But this is not a good look when your team is fighting for the number 1 seed in the conference and you got your wide receiver calling out your quarterback.
And Brandon Graham, who I love,
Kind of called him out too.
He just went on IR, just had surgery. I imagine he just had surgery.
Yeah.
He's got the elbow thing on, the tricep thing on. Come on, man. You got to stay in school with that. You can't be out of class talking like that about your group, particularly a group that you're not playing for right now. Yeah. And I know BG didn't mean anything by it, and he was just being himself. But at the end of the day, it smells like shit to me in Philadelphia.
Yeah, it's not good.
Last 2 weeks, 108 passing yards, 118 passing yards over their winning streak since the bye. He's averaging only about 180 passing yards per game.
That's this.
Well, but
Less
how
is
many
more.
attempts a game is he averaging?
I mean, most games he's between 20 and 30, right? Only 2 games over that span has he had more than 30 dropbacks.
That's
in
a
the game.
part
So
of
it's low attempts. Obviously,
Right.
you found the formula, which is we have an awesome offensive line.
Right.
We have an awesome defense. We don't need that. But I think the Lions put up points on them. I think the Vikings would put up points on them. We saw the Packers put up points on them. Like I think once you get to playoff time, you'll face good offenses that'll find answers.
Yeah, I'm
You're
with
going to
you.
need to rebuttal. And
Bryce Young had him on the ropes.
I don't know if it's. I mean, Hurts, we've always said, he's limited as a passer. He doesn't have a big arm. He's not a pure drop back guy. It's just not who he is.
No.
But he's obviously a value add to the running game.
Oh, huge.
But pair him with Kellen Moore, and I just don't like this passing attack. It's so predicated on those guys just winning consistently one-on-one on the outside, and that's fine. Like they have route winners, but it's not a consistent. They're not scheming up much. That's makes me worry about their passing attack.
I saw a cut up yesterday of routes A.J. Brown is running and not getting the football on. He's running like 45 yards down the field. I would be pissed too if I was a receiver. I'd be like, just let me run a slant or something.
That offensive line is good. That Becton move has paid off for them in a big way. The other day he was mauling dudes. Again, I always say it. People always worry about their guards. Get a guy who can't play tackle and make him a guard.
Right.
All the best guards have played tackle at some point.
Yep. And I reached out to Mekhi Becton earlier in the season, and I was essentially like, because, obviously I was a guard, and I've been a big fan of Mekhi since he came out in the draft, and obviously he dealt with some injury issues, so I kind of related to him there, and I reached out, and I was like, hey, really happy to see you in there at guard. How's things going? And this was like week 1, week 2, right? And he was like, things get on you so quick, and, your hands have to be better, your feet are different, there's way less space. And what I've seen is a guy just, he's caught up to the fastball here. And now you watch his technique at the right guard position, and it looks like a guy who has never played anything other than right guard. His hands are in the right spot. His feet are balanced when it comes to stopping these pass rush defenders. He's so strong. And then, obviously the magnum opus is when they run that backside combination with Lane Johnson
It's unbelievable.
and Mekhi Becton. It's like, it's beautiful. I mean, it is beautiful. So I'm glad they got it. And Stoutland's a great coach.
And he's a monster of a man, and he still ain't the biggest guy on that line.
Yeah,
and Mailata is a monster.
All of those guys.
But Mailata, what is Mailata, 6'7"?
6'8", 350.
Yeah,
None of their guys could fit through that doorway.
It's amazing.
Right there.
That's why they're so good.
Yeah.
All right, there you have it. That's our show for today. We'll be back tomorrow with Leger Doosable doing mailbag questions. Make sure to leave a 5-star review in Apple Podcasts with your question. It'll get answered on tomorrow's show. Till then, keep pushing.
Peace.